Okay, you want me to hit it?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Oh, now you got it.
All right, so
Okay, so I just want to talk to you all a little bit about the Asbury Math Department, how it's kind of been dwindling over the past few years, despite all the graduate success. Right here we have a graduate. And it's kind of a two-pronged reason why it's going down is because of lack of recruiting and lack of funding. And it's my goal to present this very real threat and align your thinking of the subject with my thinking that um, Asbury does give unequal support to smaller majors. First, the current state of the math department. We're going to have 4 graduates this year, and that's on par with all the classes below us, which basically means that if we lose 1 graduate per year, say the next class has 3 math majors coming in, that's a pretty big threat to us being able to have our upper level classes that are only going to have 7 or 8 people in them. So it's dangerous. That's a dangerously low number. 10 years ago, according to current professors, there was actually a computer science major. It kind of shows this dwindling process. And 10 years ago, there was a major, and then it went down to a minor, and now it's down to just 2 classes, and we don't even have a professor for computer science anymore. So that's kind of an example of how it just kind of goes downhill if it's not supported properly. Um, Being small leads to lack of funding, obviously, because they think we don't need very much funding. But in fact, we only do 2 events basically every single year, and we barely have enough money to do those. The first is COMAT math modeling, and my freshman year, I think we had 5 teams sponsored. This year, we only had 3. We had enough for more, but we actually don't have enough funding to sponsor any more teams. And the other thing is the KYMAA chapter meeting, which is the Kentucky Mathematical Association of America. And we always go and present our math modeling and other research we've been doing there. And this year, Dr. Lee is actually the head of that. The president, I don't know if he'll be able to make it and sponsor the meeting, but even if he were be able to be there, we aren't going to be able to go this year because of funding. So that's pretty unfortunate. Despite these negatives, we are a very close-knit group, and our graduates do continue to find success in their areas. This includes grad schools, financial analysts, engineers, actuaries, teachers, and even a technical writer that graduated last year. So some negatives about if the math department disappears. There's going to be no more 7-Eleven lab, which is the math tutor lab up on top of the math building. And being one of those tutors, the main people we help are the Math 100, Math 120 students, not as much the math majors. And so the Math 100 and Math 120 classes aren't going to go away if the math department disappears. So not having the math majors, the upperclassmen to help those students along is really going to be a detriment to them. It really does send a bad signal to potential students and just the general public if we can't support our own math department and other small departments as Asbury continues to grow and get a bigger population. According to the Asbury website, we have 16% media comm majors, and then the next highest is a 6% in elementary ed. And so that just shows you how much or how unequal the allocation of student majors is. And compared to competing universities such as Taylor and Wheaton, their percentages are much more equal, and I think that's kind of a healthy thing to strive for. Finally, obviously, without the Math Ultimate Frisbee team, the other intramural teams wouldn't really have good competition, and really, let's be honest, the intramurals would cease to exist without us being there. So that's a very important thing about the math department. Earlier, I kind of outlined the 2 problems: financial and recruiting / population problem. And so I want to present some solutions to those. First, the financial solution. I think funding for small majors the floor of that should be raised up to a certain minimum amount. So regardless of if the number of students goes below a certain amount, you still maintain a certain floor, a certain minimum of funding. So this kind of ensures that small majors aren't punished for being small, and they're still being given the means to potentially grow, which I think is important, being that we are a growing population at Asbury. We should be seeing more majors spring up and not majors being dying out. An example of this is kind of a bodybuilder that wants to build up arm strength, or they're lacking arm strength. They're not going to work out their legs, something they're already strong with, in order to get better. No, they're going to work out their arms, they're going to work out what's weak. And so I think that's a good analogy for this. So now the solution to the recruiting problem. I think that some of the other like flavors of math majors other than pure and computational need to be reworked. Particularly the actuarial and financial math. There needs to be some more specific classes for those, and we need to really advertise those better. I think, and the real key, I believe, is to inform the admissions counselors about our Asbury graduates' achievements and kind of what people can do with these majors. And I think if we can entice more people to come in as freshmen and stay here at Asbury, I think that will end up fixing the funding problem also. So this is a very real and imminent problem. And whenever I have kids, probably against my wife's will at the time, I will want to influence them to be math majors. Lindsay won't like that, but I would want to be able to send them to Asbury and have the same good experience I had. But if there is no math department here, then that puts me in a pretty tough situation, and that would honestly make me really sad if my student or if my kids wanted to study math and couldn't come here and study like I did. So, like I said, a growing school such as Asbury should never be facing the threat of majors and departments disappearing or getting smaller. Like I said, the opposite should be occurring. Um, we should be seeing more flavors of math majors springing up, and we should be growing as the general population grows. And it's not that big majors growing is a bad thing. Like it's good to see the media comm and other big majors grow, but along with that, we should be seeing our small majors grow just as much, if not more. And so I think resources should be allocated to struggling departments to encourage an overall balanced growth for the university.